Now, from the station on your side, you're watching Wavy News 10 on Fox 43.
Developing tonight, the aftermath of violent clashes in Charlottesville, Virginia. 3 people are dead and more than a dozen hurt. Local leaders are pushing back against a group of white nationalists.
So please, go home and never come back. Take your hatred and take your bigotry.
Now a city divided must try to come together to heal.
This is not a proud day for Charlottesville. It's not a proud day for Virginia.
Thank you for joining us tonight. I'm Laura Queso in for Brandy Cummings. We've been staying on top of the violence out of Charlottesville after an alt-right rally ended with clashes. Since 6 tonight, we've learned 3 people connected to today's protests died. 2 state troopers died when a helicopter crashed. This was just outside Charlottesville. That's the video you're seeing on the left there. On the right is the horrific crash on Charlottesville downtown mall when a car plowed into protesters. 1 woman died there. And we have team coverage for you tonight. Our Erin Kelly has new reaction from local leaders and Charlottesville's mayor. First, though, let's get right to Jason Marks, who is live in Charlottesville with reaction there on the ground. Jason.
Laura, it's very quiet down here. It was Saturday night. You'd think that you'd see a lot of people walking around, but not tonight. Most of the bars and restaurants didn't even open up today. And when you look around, you literally only see reporters and a heavy police presence. And they're hoping all those officers will deter any violence from happening again.
But what people have described Charlottesville as is not true.
There are many people in America who never heard of Charlottesville, Virginia until now.
This isn't Charlottesville, and we want it out of here as soon as possible.
The streets left littered. The memories of today still very fresh.
It was like something out of a, end of the world movie.
Virginia Beach's Wyatt Tolkey was right in the middle of it.
We saw some people said it was like a civil war, and I thought that was kind of an exaggeration. But after seeing what I saw today, I think it's absolutely true.
Right-wing protesters upset with the possible removal of the Confederate Robert E. Lee statue met face-to-face with counter-protesters. There were fights, gas thrown, and someone drove a car into a group of anti-protesters.
And we hear all these people yelling and hollering, and this car is just plowing through these people and seriously just tossing people up like it was, confetti or something.
A 32-year-old woman was killed. In all, 35 people were injured throughout the day. Charlottesville resident Andrew Shell spent his afternoon picking up trash left behind.
We don't appreciate them being here. We want our city back.
And then there's Army veteran Dana Haas from Richmond, who got here after everything was done, but wanted to make his presence known.
I love the Commonwealth and couldn't believe that something like this could have possibly taken place. And, now we're making nationwide news for, something as catastrophic as this. It's horrible.
And I had a chance to talk with a lot of Charlottesville residents. Their fear tonight was what would happen once the sun went down. Now, we had a thunderstorm, pretty good-sized thunderstorm that went through a little while ago. That obviously helped. A lot of rain. Police really needed that. But what the residents were really fearing is what's around those corners, what's around those dark areas. As we mentioned, not a lot of people on the streets. If you walk around, you will find pockets of police officers everywhere, and they're hoping that will do enough to make sure that what happened today doesn't happen again. That's the latest here in Charlottesville. Jason Marks, 10 on your side.
All right, Jason Marks live for us in Charlottesville tonight. So how did this all start? The question is, unrest in Charlottesville has been brewing for months now, all over the removal of a statue. It shows Confederate leader Robert E. Lee. City Council voted to remove it and rename Lee Park Emancipation Park, that is. There was a Ku Klux Klan rally last month over the changes. Those in support of keeping the statue say city leaders are removing history. Today's clash involved a nationalist group. Their rally started around 9 this morning, but just before noon, it was deemed an unlawful assembly after violence broke out. The governor declared a state of emergency, and state police say they made several arrests. Violence continued after the rally was declared unlawful. We have new video of the moment a car hit a crowd of people on Charlottesville's downtown mall, killing 1 person. And we want to warn you here, it could be disturbing for some to watch. Horrible video there. Charlottesville police say a 32-year-old woman died in the crash. They are working now to tell her family. 19 other pedestrians were hurt, and other injuries range from minor to life-threatening.
It just went flying everywhere, the pedestrians. And I mean, it's the most horrific thing I've ever seen in my life.
There was blood all over the street. The car did not have any plates. Tinted out windows, we couldn't even see them. It seemed like it was planned.
The car took off after the crash. Its bumper that was nearly torn off and dragged on the road as it drove away. Police caught up with the driver. They charged 20-year-old James Fields Jr. of Ohio with second-degree murder. As we said earlier, 2 Virginia state troopers died when a helicopter crashed just outside of Charlottesville. State police are mourning the loss of Lieutenant H.J. Cullen and Burke M.M. Bates. They say no one on the ground was hurt.
We kind of saw like a billow of smoke, I guess, above the trees over there. My friend had just driven over, and he was driving down 64, and he said he saw like a large billow of smoke kind of come up as he was coming over.
The NTSB and the FAA are investigating the cause of the crash. However, state police say there's no indication of foul play here. Tonight, Virginia's leaders are condemning the violence in Charlottesville. Their statements have been coming into the newsroom all day long. And Governor Terry McAuliffe delivered a scathing message today. Erin Kelly continues our team coverage with a breakdown on all of it. Erin.
Well, Laura, the governor said his message was plain and simple: go home. And some members of Virginia's congressional delegation had similar statements about what happened today. After white nationalists and counter-protesters clashed on what became a deadly day for Charlottesville, Virginia Governor Terry McAuliffe said he had a message for who he called white supremacists and Nazis.
Please go home and never come back. Take your hatred and take your bigotry.
The governor, who had declared a state of emergency amid the chaos, talked to President Donald Trump earlier in the day.
And I told the president that there has got to be a movement in this country to bring people together. The hatred and rhetoric that has gone on and has intensified over the last couple months is dividing this great nation.
President Trump said he agreed with the governor that hate and division must stop.
We condemn in the strongest possible terms this egregious display of hatred, bigotry, and violence on many sides. On many sides.
On Twitter, Virginia Senator Mark Warner said Virginians rejected the hateful violence and condemned the intolerance behind it. Congressman Scott Taylor said the actions, ideology, and hate by some idiots should be condemned loudly and clearly. And Charlottesville Mayor Michael Signer denounced what he called a tide of hatred and intolerance.
It is brought here by outsiders, and it's brought here by people who belong in the trash heap of history with these ideas.
And Congressman Bobby Scott said this sort of violence and hate has no credible role in our public discourse. As we mentioned, many Virginia leaders have been sending us their thoughts on this. We have more from them on our website. Erin Kelly, 10 on your side.
Erin, thank you. Also reacting to today's rally is former Ku Klux Klan leader David Duke. He praised the rally and was even a spectator in the crowd. This is video of him before the violence started. He explained what today's white nationalist rally represented.
This represents a turning point for the people of this country. We are determined to take our country back. We're going to fulfill the promises of Donald Trump. That's what we believed in. That's why we voted for Donald Trump, because he said he's going to take our country back.
In a tweet later, he called Virginia's governor a coward for siding with extremely violent and hateful leftist organizations. Our coverage of this story continues online. To see more photos from the aftermath of the car crash, along with lawmakers' reaction to the violence in Charlottesville, head to wavy.com. And you can get the latest updates right on the homepage of your smartphone with our Wavy News app. Now let's get a check of your forecast.
Finally be back under full sunshine with our 7-day forecast.
All right, Ashley, thank you. Don't forget to download our Wavy weather app. You can track the latest conditions with live radar. And make sure to turn on the alerts to get updates right on the homepage of your smartphone about rain or lightning, maybe even sun in your area. We're just getting started here at 10. Coming up, new information about a deadly multi-state salmonella outbreak that includes Virginia. We'll explain how many more people are sick. deciding the fate of public housing in one Norfolk neighborhood, how the city is getting neighbors involved, and why maintaining the complex is such a challenge. And like Ashley said, you may get a chance to put away the umbrella soon. Meteorologist Ashley Baylor has a detailed look at the rest of your weekend. Stay with us.